Ancora? Adesso? Molto meglio? Ok. Bene, vado? Ok. Sì, sì, faccio vedere. Ok, sì, sì. Ah, allora cominciamo. Buongiorno a tutti. Um, Prima di cominciare volevo esprimere la mia grande felicità per fare questa lezione al workshop del master nella gompa di Tara, a cui sono molto legata, e volevo prima di tutto esprimere la mia più profonda gratitudine alla Maganchen e alla Michelle. Faccio come ha fatto Rohier, parlo un pochino della mia vita prima di questo momento. Io, prima di insegnare in Italia, insegno alla università, ho passato tutta la mia vita negli Stati Uniti e in Canada. E quando ero negli Stati Uniti lavoravo come ricercatrice su popolazioni, su esseri umani, sulle cause dei tumori, in particolare sui tumori al seno, al colon, al pancreas, al fegato. L'idea era che trovando le cause si potessero eliminare e, diciamo così, non si dovesse più aspettare l'insorgenza di un tumore come un evento assoluto e strano nella vita di chiunque. Quindi cercavo di capire se ci potessero essere dei fattori definiti fattori di rischio a cui si potesse stare attenti ed evitare. I miei studi sono stati studi che hanno contribuito. La scienza è così, no? Cioè, tu magari hai successo in una cosa, però non è il tuo successo di tutti coloro che ti hanno preceduto, di tutti coloro che hanno lavorato con te. Quindi questo successo era legato all'avere scoperto in che modo gli zuccheri e i grassi sono dei fattori che promuovono i tumori e quando i tumori ci sono li fanno progredire. Quindi sono associati anche all'aumento di mortalità o di ricorrenza.
So, I was studying a lot about these facts every day, and I just see so many to see my activity of research, and so I'm really focused on the science because I believe that science lies the answer for the cause. But then, as I keep going on, and the more I just find out the science that I'm looking for, there's so many aspects, different other factors, because they are not conclusive. So I can't be complete to think that to find the answers, to find out the cause for the tumor, for the cancer. So I missed something. My destiny, my fate as a human being. So I'm looking for it. I keep searching. So in some way, I'm very passionate about the science. It's really, for me, I'm still looking for it, for the answer. So I'm focused on this. I'm still looking for. So probably the answer will be Buddhism, the religion. This kind of religion, in my mind, represents something really to try to believe in these things. So my mind actually refused religion. I believe that religion wasn't the answer that I'm looking for. So I just keep on my research and see here and there. But I was very close here. So I encountered a lesson that a lama was teaching in California. But it was so difficult for me, I didn't understand anything. So the concept is really difficult. So I was wondering, that, is there anyone actually interesting about this, curious about this? So for me, that feeling is like a click for me. So that moment is the most important moment of my life, and I still remember I, I was a young Italian studied in the United States, and one day I found out that I thought it's the Lama Michele was teaching there. So he is from Genoa, I thought, because he has a really strong Italian accent and a very strong local Italian accent. So I was thinking, what's going on here? And I don't understand. So I started to follow his lesson, and the more I listen to what he's talking about, the more I become happy. So I just say, it's actually made me fall in love of this lesson. And then I come back to Italy, and I knew Lama Kanchen, and I knew him personally. So my life has actually totally changed. So I was asking myself, why? What happened? What's the magic here? So what magic actually happened? So did I have some interference? Have some? Also my spirit actually. For me, it's like this is like the road spiritually for me to feel my need to find the answer and give me the possibility to become a better version of myself. So this is the great contribution for me and for what I was doing for my activities. So to fill the void of the science that didn't filled before. So it's like another approach for me. It's a spiritual way for me to feel another thing. So I was so inside, I'm still a scientist. But now I'm actually having a much better, happy life. Because there are so many aspects, positive aspects for me. Every day is shining on my life. Because every day I find out that my life has something beautiful happened. There are always some negative event happening in my life, but I'm more focused on the bright side. So I just keep going on like this, and this is really something simple. Well, actually, it's not easy for me. So I thank you, infinitely thank you so much for guiding me to this life. The two lamas give me the chance to learn and help me to study, and guide me to here. So so it's a simple introduction of my life, but for me that's very important. So now we're talking about molecular aspect of the body and my treatment. So we are capable. So Lama Michele is capable to say something I was actually thinking for the moment. So you know, when there's interaction, there's transformation. So now let's see this lesson. We can see there's it's actually transform the. Actually, he actually transformed what I really want to say, the content of what I'm really going to say. Now, here we are going to show you some data of the molecules that we study on the plants and to evaluate the complex, and we are incapable to control the plants, the development and how they grow. So there's a foundation to give us some financement to support our study, to study the plants. So we can actually use the standard procedure. There's a person to help us, but you know, so we have different study of the plants. Some actually place under the sun and some is under the shadow. So we can have a really significant and accurate study about the difference of different plants. So in this case, we can be sure when we treat a person, we can treat them in the same way. Because we don't use the pesticide for the person, of course. So for the financial support, that was very important. And the second very important thing is that I don't want to show you today, but because I couldn't show you the evidence that we can actually cure the tumor. So it's obviously that it doesn't exist. But we want to show you, I want to show you to help you understand that we were capable to influence the people's healthy state. It's actually like we have the different elements that we actually, that element, we have everyone to, so it actually, our mentality, the body is the same thing. So when you are happy, you will have happy tears. But when you are happy, it's impossible for you to cry, right? You can't just cry. So your body is actually produce and to react your feelings. But the connection with the tumor is actually more complicated. So we don't show you that about something about the tumor, but I just want to tell you we can actually being better, have a better quality life, and during the cure. So this is what we are talking about. In the science, we use different models. These models are, yesterday we were actually mentioned before. So the stress that the modern science that we are talking about, how our behave, and the stress actually gives some immediate reaction, and they will release some different, is actually negative elements for the body, and they actually capable to produce some element that actually determine our state of mind and the state of body. So the link between mind and the body, we will talk for our society. Is actually we have been talking about a lot. So actually for the modern society, these two parts are separate. So in this concept, the medicine in the 20th or 19th century, they have a very important different psychologies or concept that they will talk about. So after the Great Wars, medicine actually won important in the people's life. So we actually understand that the exterior elements has influence on our bodies. They actually give us to understand the concept of the disease in our mind, in our body. So the Asian traditions, as we mentioned before, I'm sorry, I know really little about this, but the concept is that our body and our mind are strongly linked together. So basically, they are the same thing. So from this point of view, we can start to think about how to transform this concept and to tell us how to work on our body through our mind. So through the mind, we can give the health and the benefit to our body. Now, I have a question for you. So this is activity. So we are just keep interactive. So if I want to tell you, what do you think the environment has an important role in our life? So give me just one example. How the environment, external environment, has an important influence in our life. So heat, for example. So for the environment, we are talking about everything that around us. We say chemical and physical environment actually give us the interaction of our health. So this is the definition. So and without the pollution, the urbanization, the degradation of our life sustains. So everything actually linked to the environment. But the external environment also have a positive effect on our body. For example, when you go for a walk in the forest, so you feel really well. So I always think I feel well because it's calm. It has nice smell, but there's something more. It seems like there's many other factors. So because actually in our mind we were capable to communicate with each other in the nature. So this intercommunication, they are actually realized through some small molecules. So together with this, we have this communication from the earth. So when people are actually walking in the forest, so in this point we are talking about forest medicine. So your position in the forest is actually really good for your health, for your mentality. And now, so we are in the moment that the hypothesis. So we were talking about it that the diseases come from the outside. So it's actually something really mixed. But several days ago, Lama explained to me that our mind has some magical power, and a lot of us will think, to think actually our mind have an effect on our body. So I was thinking that actually I'm the scientist, I'm the doctor, I should be the one to tell Lama, not the Lama to tell me this. So in the Buddhism, that I knew wasn't like this. So Buddhism is actually something really open-minded. It's opened. So when we come back to this aspect and we are talking about the chemical aspect, then it help us to realize how this molecular get into our health, get into our benefit. So naturally, they come from the epigenetic process. For a long time, the science actually think the tumor causes are actually linked to the expression of our genes. So in a way, it's right because everything is actually the expression of our gene. Because our gene present our activity, but from the modulation of our expression, because the DNA, the gene actually compose their self. So there is a lot of exam to show us. So now we're seeing this is one example. The molecular is actually composed and with protein, and you can see the process. So you can see when there's something happen, the DNA actually can produce the protein. So there's sometimes they actually can rupture the DNA, so they don't express. So how they get involved and uninvolved. So there's some chemical or the physical substance elements. Because in the DNA they have some components that can help us to understand and to express our activities. So they will give you. So we can see the examples here. Then there are also some different from the DNA parts we can actually activate and deactivate to have some to give us the. So actually, this is the scientist process of our DNA. That DNA will actually express our behaviors. There's some other micromolecules that can help us in the center of the cellular, as we can see. So for a really long time that for the science, for a long time, this is small molecular. We thought they were useless, but actually they are in a way to modulate the so this micromolecule actually has the function to produce the protein. So give us this particular molecular actually communicate between each other like we in the forest, because they will activate the pathway for the communication. So how actually this is working our medicines. So they can help us because they will have this pharmaceutical reaction. So we can see we have medicine here. they will connect with the receptor. And this agonist will so there is a medicine, and then we have a receptor, and this agonist will determine the effect of this medicine on the receptor. So it's like a key to help you into a certain place. It's like you turn off your key and then you can enter this place. So this is like the pharmaceutical reaction for you, for a certain element that help you to activate the reaction of the medicine. So in Europe, we have a certain association center to study the reaction of every medicine. And they study not only the pharmacological reaction, but they also study the reaction in the biological and also non-biological reaction. Because sometimes the medicine can modify the component of the molecule as certain functions of this gene. Not everyone, they can actually invite the reaction of the receptor. So when we look at the plant, because we know the plant has some positive effect when we study the disease. So we use plant for a lot of the chemotherapy because every plant has different reaction. They have different reaction of different medicines. Because every character of the plant is different as our human beings. They have the components are different of our human body when reacting to the medicines. So observing the reaction of a plant, we can actually observing the reaction of the medicine on the human body. So to help us to understand how the situation of the pathology is something really complex. Because the tumor is a complex disease, because they can have a potential answers. So these are the data, for example, about a treatment, cellular treatment. You know, this is the kind of cancer that actually very common in Italy. This is so it's a very difficult cancer that we don't actually understand the cause of the cancer, and sometimes even know the cause, but the treatment is not always effective. So we can see that we use different weight. We used artichokes leaves. So you can see actually the reaction is different because we use different approach to do the research. Okay, as you can see that we will try to use different methods to eliminate the cancer elements. So as you can see the data, sometimes actually the cancer cannot be completely cured. But sometimes with the artichoke leaves and then without the study, sometimes the result is really, really effective. So as you can see, now we use some physiological solution. The result with the artichoke, actually you can see the cellular, they actually separate. So so basically, actually the research on the artichoke leaves actually shows it's helpful for this kind of cancer. But how it works? So this element, how it actually reacts with the human body, like through the very small molecules. So as we said before. So it actually goes through our organism inside of our body. And inside our body we have more than 2,000 of these. So in our body has a really large number of pathways. In this case, so actually this element we can actually produce this element inside our body, and with the help of the element that we take from the artichoke leaves, it can help to cure the cancer or reduce. Okay, so now let's focus on the mind. We talk about external environment. Now we can talk about internal environment. So disappointment, sad, and even moving your house. Because sometimes even for the people who actually moving out, become a very stressful activities for people. So how they actually influence our life. So we have in this life we have the depression. This is a kind of very strong disease that's common in our society. So if the cause can be a lot. They have a really strong impact in our life and our study. Because sometimes it's really hard to do this kind of study because sometimes, for example, if we have the cigarette study, the cigarette is really relatively simple for this kind of study. But for this case, it's actually different. So if somebody actually died, they will have a really strong reaction for the people that they care. So for some people they can be really sad, but for someone it's less sad. So it's really difficult for us to categorize for a huge population, because it's the classification of this kind of disease is really difficult. So we have made this study in 2,003,000 people, 6,000 people. So the depression is actually associated with onset of the tumor. So they actually with link to the tumors. For example, with the breast tumor. And they also observed that the depression associated with the really bad life condition. So as we can see, with the high risk. So we actually find out that for this kind of population, the onset cancer is increasing for the people under this kind of condition. So maybe there's some elements actually here actually we didn't show that clear. So it's actually more than the stress. Actually, it's the inflammation of our body. So how can I say? Actually, this is the basic situation linked to the disease that we talk about, actually linked to the onset cancer. So a great inflammation, no, but actually a mild, constant inflammation for many years. And our organism is very important for this, because when we face a constant situation for many years, and they will become something serious, because a very little substance but occurring for a really long time can actually become cancer. So actually say depressed will develop, activate potentially some genetic disease. So it will actually, your depression will activate inflammation for a constantly long time. So can we actually fight this constant inflammation? This actually, it can be the goal of meditation, or some activity similar to the meditation. So some relaxed activities like yoga, every activity that help your mind to relax, to modify your asset. How is it? So from your mind, to relax your mind can actually help you to reduce this inflammation. There is some evidence shows. So some studies to show that this doctor, in collaboration with Lama in the 16th, they actually doing this kind of research. So they actually studied to the relationship between the meditation and the cancer disease. So this study shows they actually opened a new field for the science. So psycho-endocrinology. So if you are curious, there are so many review and so many literature to talk about this new field. And they will talk about a benefit of the meditation for the inflammation. But also they talk about the cause of inflammation. So for the study, the research coming with the big theme is about if the meditation can modify the basic of inflammation, because meditation is actually can help our immune system to react in this situation. So there's two fields. So I think that we can actually hear. So how do we do to give answer for the lessons of today? And we see some. Do you know what's the systematic review? Actually, there are some collection of systematic of medical evidence. That means in this argument, in this theme, there's a lot of the relation between the meditation and the disease. So there is some collection about the patients, about the research of clinics and different studies. Some reports are analytic reports. So the actually collection of studies of this particular field, like the theme of depression that we talk about. So they actually collect all the different cases about tumor. So actually, the result, the study between the people with cancer, with depression or without depression. So, but during the COVID, we cannot continue. But now the COVID is finished, so we were able to collect more patients to do this kind of experiment, to ask them to give us a little bit more support, such as the blood samples. So the patients will divide into different groups, some with meditation and some doesn't practice the meditation. So after 3 months or so, we will see the result and to find out if there's still the trace of inflammation or the reduce of the inflammation. So in this case, you can actually to intervene with people, specific people. So in this systematic review is actually strictly linked to the clinical trial. So we can actually try to evaluate the effect of meditation. So this reviews actually is real a scientific trial and experiment, and so they actually to evaluate the case study if they are actually successfully done, nicely done. So if there's something, they actually do the evaluation. If there's something, the study is actually really badly done, they will eliminate this case study. So for the therapy that we did, it actually be added into the guided. This review actually helped us to find out a guide for the research in the future. So apart from the reviews, we can see the effort of our So actually now we can see the study that we do for has the impact on our immune system. So if they are actually the meditation is capable to activate our immune system defense. So in this case, they have this. they actually find out they only give okay, we can see this the data of the study that we made. So you can see the great numbers that for the case study and analysis.
Però poi queste duplicazioni vanno escluse dalle systematic reviews, valutate attraverso gli output 1036. Sostanzialmente vedete la parte importante.
So you can see the most important part here. They actually exclude that study without adequate measurements. So basically, the analysis is very strict. We only take into consideration of the well-done studies and the results and papers. So in this review, we also include 12 articles and publications. So we study of the cellular that are actually associated and linked to our immune system. L'interleuchina 6, che è un mediatore di infiammazione, quindi loro non hanno misurato solo l'immunità, ma hanno misurato anche dei marcatori di infiammazione. Più bassa, più scende l'interleuchina 6, più vuol dire che la mindfulness ha un effetto positivo. So we can see that there is a different element that actually have the benefit for our immune system. As we can see, some different moleculars that have really important roles in our immune system. More impact means that it's actually functioning on our body. And later I will show you. So actually, this review collect all the useful information. So what's the result of this study? As you can see, these are the studies that they will take into consideration. Some of them is about the yoga, and others are about our mind, spirit. Hanno rappresentato solo la mindfulness e le caratteristiche di immunità, ma in realtà nel loro studio hanno considerato tantissime altre. So only from the title of this article, they will not so inclusive, but the content is actually has very variety linked to our body and mind system. Questi quadratini indicano l'effetto principale. So from this, so for example, in this case, if the number is 0, della proteina C reattiva e un'altra verso l'aumento, vuol dire che questo studio non ha dato nessun risultato. Okay, so if the answer is 0, that means that the mindful is actually not working with the molecular or the DNA. Uno studio in cui la mindfulness e qualsiasi altro tipo di attività legata alla mente ha comportato una riduzione degli indicatori. Okay, so if the number is high, that means this article is telling that kind of activity is helping to activate the immune system, or the result that we actually have impact on our body. Cioè considerando complessivamente gli studi ben fatti, risultato. So as we can see, the result that we see sometimes actually will take the reduction of the inflammation. So very small significance. That in total, that means our body is linked to the great balance. Increase the protein correspond to some particular activities. So this is the first point. So, and as you can see, the difference that will give us from the meditation. It will give us an incredible change and difference, and even to reduce the inflammation. So if we do some very intense physical activities, so if we measure the protein, so it's actually okay. So if we do the intense activity, we measure in that exact moment the protein. Maybe it's different from the day before or the day after. So these are the great variability of our research. So when we receive the protein, actually, when you measure this protein, is actually the difference of the good result of the research, because these are the variety that we have to take into consideration. Even a really small percentage of the difference will have a great impact on our study. So sometimes the error is actually related to the technical error, or so the laboratory, it's actually they can not tell this nuance. So when we talk about it in general, even we find a very small difference, but they will be very significant, because this means that potentially our mind have a very strong effort. And I have a question for you. If you, what's your great recognition in the clinical trial? What's the contribute of the science for us? For us, there's something really strong. So, when we talk about our mind is not formalmente uguale identico, non deve essere, se fai un massaggio deve essere un massaggio, se una pillola è una pillola, se c'è un'iniezione deve essere un'iniezione, se è una supposta deve essere una supposta, con le stesse caratteristiche, con la stessa forma, con le stesse tutto.
So I'm going to show this. She's talking about the placebo effects, which is used in these cases. So it gives a natural approach. So here they evaluate the cells that they evaluate. Also here the limits that shows the studies are showing with the on the effect of the mindfulness that can increase the immunitary system and defenses. So it's something, it increasing the difference is not statistic relevant, increase it to less. So this is an it has an importance in the statistics, but it's also our consciousness that judge what is too less, what is too much, what is active, relevant or not relevant. So this absence of significativity is the fact that the number of studies that that has been done it was on a small field applied, so there was this kind of variabilities, or there were the different parameters that have been established from the beginning from the different researchers. The thalamus is something that Rogier likes a lot, and he has his reason for that. The telomere, contains the chromosomes, and this cap of proteins, it has the function to protect the chromosomes. So what's happened with the aging process to disposes of different toxic substances? These telomeres they shrink with the time, they reduce the dimension. So this is a negative symptom. It's a strong sign of aging. So it's important in those studies that to evaluate, for instance, if the meditation can stop this process or slow the process about the aging of the telomeres. Who is taking care of the telomeres and protect it is this telomerase, that is the strongest part of the chromosome that is showing there. And also these researchers watched to the telomerase and the telomeres. So they were conducted 7 distinct researches, scientific researches, and this was the following up of the research. And these are the sum of their effects. And generally speaking, the idea is that the telomerase was increased with the mindfulness activities, and it was very difficult to measure the activity of the telomeres. There are so high range of technique variability in the measurement, so can vary a lot from one study to the other. So this also Rohier likes very much, and we are going to place in our research for this reason. The telomere has a small variability complexively, but at the end of the observation, there was associated to the mindfulness a good conservation of the telomere, and statistically relevant as a data. This was established. So the mindfulness and also the other techniques and meditation techniques and method of mind relaxation are able to reduce the inflammation, maybe to increase the immunologic system, and then it can keep for a long time the length of the telomere, so its long life, prolongs its life, biological life. How we can record the activity of the telomeres? Through a system of telomere that measure on the millimeter levels, and they can measure and mark the differences due to the action of the meditation, the different meditation methods. This is another research, another review system. First, the previous study included many patients, a great number of patients who practice the mindfulness. And in this case, they've been examined people completely healthy, and they never did before practice any form of meditation or yoga, neither. And in this case, they watched to the protein of this chiriative item protein, and the sum of all the effects, it was the increasing of the chiriative protein. Also in these systematic reviews, it was indicated that the meditation, in this case associated to the movements, it's able to reduce the inflammatory state. The same kind of study places attention to the interleukin 6, which is a potent, powerful interactor. The interleukina, this factor, in this sense is borderline, it's less evident. They reduce the borderline, the protein, like in the case of all the cytokine, it's very difficult to mark the difference because there is a very high degree of technical variability. So it can be very high in one moment and then the next instant is very low. So it's very difficult to detect the differences or a stable medium. So it's very important, this factor, for the genesis of the tumors, and there is the significativity, the meaningful reduction of the factor that reduce in relation to the practice of the meditation has been established and detected, revealed, and established, confirmed. So here we have a last systematic review, and this is also made the research on healthy people on 716's work research database. They exclude the less reliable. They considered 18 system and publications and papers as reliable, and as a consequence, in this case, they considered LNFKB, which is a factor, as I was saying before, strongly associated to the inflammation, but that in itself has the capacity to induce other factors that sustain the inflammation, and most of all, they are able to inhibit the anti-apoptotic factors that control the inflammation. So this factor, it's strongly influence and sustain the genesis of tumors and the genesis of inflammation in the first place. So in this kind of paper, the scientists observed that mainly there is a reduction, an important reduction of the factor NF-κB factor. And this is the last aspect that is related to the systematic reviews and meta-analysis, where it was controlled the markers. I don't remember about the cortisol. This is very important. The cortisol, it's an indication of chronic stress, an indicator. Why is the strongest in accord to the system of hypothalamus, adrenergic. It's a strong indicator of stress. But it's difficult to individuate it because the cortisol is always changing. And one can say in this moment, I receive a stress telephone call, so this level of cortisol is very high at the moment. But this is so strong, the cortisol, that in our organism, it's we try to reduce this effect. Lama Misha Rinpoche one time told me that the mind of the animals are working much better than us. For instance, the zebras, as soon as they see the lions, they escape, they flight, and then the lion stops to chase them, and so they can eat the grass peacefully. And then they say it was this same physical sensation that we have when we revive an experience who has been lived, and then this is also a factor that increased temporarily our level of cholesterol, because we human beings, we remember instead the animal forget. So this intervention on mind body, it was established that the meditation was able to reduce the levels significantly, meaning in a meaningful way, the levels of cholesterol. The glucose, it's another marker, parameter, which is not a molecule, but is influenced by as an answer to the cortisol. So we produce glucose to give strength to the muscle to fight, to escape. But the levels of the glucose, that depends from the 70% of the diet of the day before, are interesting because they increase in the moments of stress. And also this application demonstrated that it was true, was revealed by the research. This lesson means to us that in the setting of therapies with complex sicknesses, the action should be complex as well, because the phytocomplex is made by so many substances. Each one of them is working for the realization of, for instance, of the decrease of the inflammation, for instance. So, example, in the plants, the plants, they behave like that in this way. There are substances that are produced by the plant not for the growth, not for the breed, but only to stop, in contrast, the invasion of fungus and bacteria. So there are these secondary system that are going to protect and works also in our body and our organism, human organisms. The other factor is important, that we can help the mind to find, to increase, enhance the positive elements that can stop the constant inflammation processes, and that brings to the chronic state of stress, and so weakness our immunitary systems. So the approach to the patient should be holistic. So for sure it should contain the characteristic of the therapy, whatever it is, like the traditional therapy with the new immunotherapies and so forth, but it must contemplate, include in itself a relation together with the example, the relationship between patient and doctor. That is very important and crucial. As Lama Michel was saying before, at each interaction corresponds a transformation. So if we want to transform the destiny, the pathologic destiny of a patient, or our own destiny, we have to imagine all the various possibilities that we have, because all these interactions could favor the transformation that we want to see and we want to induce in the patient. So they say takeaway message of these lessons is to hold in consideration, keep in consideration all these factors, from the walking in the nature, from the meditation, the sportive activities. My husband also said I have to do I have to do some physical, and is doing the triathlon, the marathon, and the biking, and many abilities. And I said, okay, for me, could be enough one walk, one nice walk, also a sweet, gentle physical activities such as the yoga, the diet, the cure of the mental attitude in the respect from the doctor to the patient, from the patient to the doctor. And so the environment, the natural environment, be in contact with that. So we have to imagine all these components that works synergically in us, and we are also interdependent as a doctor, and the patients are interdependent from us. We depend from the external, from the inside, from the microbiome, intestinal microbiome. And so we have to imagine ourselves in a context of great interaction, collective interaction. Thank you all. I forgot to say that the Dr. Rapet is affected by COVID, so he will not come. He sent me his slides, but he will not be able to come. So I was thinking that we can do another seminar, another workshop with the factors that influence the mind, the inflammation, and the tumors. I know that he works a lot with the slides, but so sometimes also the people say that they have the COVID because when they don't want to do the things, but he sent me all his work in advance. So this is not the case. It's a question from Elkana. Now there is the pause of the lunch, for the lunch. And we'll continue in the afternoon. So we have to do some movements so you can run up and